considering it's the end of October, a couple of days before All Hallows. And so, if nothing else, we'll be doing some indoor fire pujas November, December, January, maybe going into February. Hopefully, we can still do some more outside, though. So, I want to welcome everybody to part one of a new 13-part series on the 12 forms of Kali of the Krama Tantric lineage. This is a lineage of non-dual Shaiva Tantra going back about 1,000 years. And I'll be saying more of that in our introduction. I want to make a couple of announcements. So first, this coming Tuesday will be part 4 of our Kalis of the Kathmandu Valley series. We'll be honoring Mahakali, who is really the sum of the previous 3 that we were talking about, Sristikali, Bhadrakali, and Dakshinkali. And then we'll begin a brand new series for 4 weeks. We'll be honoring the goddess of another Tantric lineage called the Trika. And I'll be saying a little bit more about them later in our introduction. Next Friday will be our monthly Kriya Yoga Puja and Satsang. And I'm going to be introducing a new technique called the ecstatic process that employs some Kriya-related techniques for the release of energies that you no longer need. So definitely some exciting things coming up. So getting into our program here, the Krama lineage was founded in the late 800s by the sage Jnananetra, and he was initiated by Mahakali herself. He was meditating in a cremation ground, and having done that on several occasions myself, it can really be a transforming experience. And Mahakali manifested before him, along with 12 of her other aspects, known as yoginis, or shaktis of yogic powers. And so it would be these 12 yoginis, these 12 forms of Kali that we're going to be honoring beginning tonight. A little bit more about the Krama lineage. Different from other tantric lineages of that time, in that there were female gurus. And it's also from the Krama that we get the progressive rising of Kundalini in meditation, rising upwards through Sushumna Nadi and piercing the chakras from the root chakra to the crown. It's an extinct lineage, although it had a longer run than some of the others, roughly from about the year 900 to the year 1500 of the Common Era. Extinct in its original form, but it was still a great influence on Shakta Tantric, that is goddess-based Tantric lineages to this day, including the Sri Vidya lineage, which is connected with the Sri Chakra. So interest in this lineage was resurrected starting really in the 70s through the early 2000s. A tantric guru named Swami Lakshmanu, who I'll be saying a bit more in a few minutes, and some academics. Professor Alexis Sanderson of the University of Oxford, Mark Dzikowski, who lives in Varanasi. He's not just an academic with a PhD in the subject, but he's also a very strong devotee, as is Christopher Wallace. And Dr. Wallace wrote this wonderful book. You can find it on Amazon, called Tantra Illuminated. And it's just a wonderful introduction if you're interested in these ancient tantric lineages. So the basis for this series is going to be a short hymn called the Krama Stotram. And the Krama Stotram is a hymn written approximately 1,000 years ago to these 12 forms of Kali. We really don't know who its author was, but one very good candidate would be the sage Benedict, who's famous for authoring this encyclopedic work, multi-volumes, called Tantra Loka, means light on the tantras. And then when he finished that work, he went around and he started a condensed version of the Tantra Loka that's a little more accessible to the general public, called Tantra Sara, or the essence of the Tantras. So just to give a more of an introduction, I'm going to read this short article by Georges Barcelard. And this is on the site for the Lakshmanu Academy. So these are devotees of Swami Lakshmanu. So Swami Lakshmanu, 1907 to 1991, was one of the foremost expounders of Kashmir's Krama tradition and was the inspiration for both Indian and Western scholars and seekers. He was the last of an unbroken chain of masters from the oral tradition of what today is known as Krama or Kashmir Shaivism. January 6, 1991, just 11 months before his passing, Swami visited Los Angeles one sunny afternoon after listening to a group of devotees singing bhajans in praise of the Divine Mother. He went into an ecstatic mood. Moving about the room, he enticed everybody to dance. As the fervor of the singing gained momentum, Swamiji moved gracefully to the center of the room, eyes brimming with tears. He began to outline the shape of a figure, invisible to all but himself. After some time, he motioned to each devotee and showered him or her with what appeared to be a blessing of an unknown visitor. Swamiji remained in an ecstatic mood for the remainder of the day, and later that evening, before retiring, he confided in a quiet tone, "Goddess Durga appeared today in the meeting room downstairs." For Swami Lakshmanu, the vision of the goddess Durga was not to be taken as something extraordinary. There was no doubt that the Divine Mother had graciously woven herself into the fabric of his life since early childhood. He did add, though, with a tone of humor mixed with an air of surprise, "Goddess Durga visited America." Some 50 years earlier, in his humble ashram, nestled quietly on the side of a mountain overlooking the beautiful Dal Lake, Swamiji had compiled a small booklet entitled Krama Prapidika. Based on the ancient Krama system of Kashmir Shaivism, this booklet shed light on the essential meaning of the 12 aspects of Kali. In Kashmir Shaivism, Kali, in her highest embodiment, is known as Kala Sankarshani Kali. Like a divine actress in her own universal play, she assumes the roles of Sristikali, Raktakali, Sitanasha Kali, Yamakali, Samhara Kali, Mrityu Kali, Rudra Kali, Martanda Kali, Paramarka Kali, Kali Rudra Kali, Mahakala Kali, and Mahabhairava Gaurachanda Kali. Through these 12 manifestations, the Divine Mother creates, manifests, and destroys the universe from within her own nature. In Sristikali, she is ever present in the first impulse of any perception. In Raktakali, she is direct perception. In Sitanasya Kali, she is appeased in a appeased state where curiosity of perception is ended. And Yamakali, she winds up the state of thinking and perceiving and again resides in her own nature. These 4 states of Kali operate in the objective world. This is related to a divine power called Icha Shakti, the power of will. In Samhara Kali, the impressions of the objective world appear as faint clouds in a clear blue sky. Here one feels I have destroyed duality. In this state of Mrityu Kali, these clouds disappear and one begins to feel oneness. In Rudra Kali, she destroys all remaining doubts and suspicions and holds one back on the path to God consciousness. And Martananda Kali, she absorbs energies of cognition into herself. These four states of Kali operate in the cognitive world, a power we call Jnana Shakti, or the power of knowledge. In Paramarka Kali, she is in the state of limited ego, which holds the 12 organs of cognition, and this is dissolved. For the state of Kali Nirudra Kali, Swamiji added this one verse. Glory be to thee, O Ambika, Mother of the universe. By the power of your unimpeded will and time, in the shape of Bhairava, thou createst the entire universe, from the highest Shiva to the lowest insect. Here, in the state of Kali Nirudra Kali, the function of time still exists. However, when she enters the state of Mahakala Kali, just like a morsel of food in one gulp, she digests time along with the totality of the universe. It is here that Kali dances, in the universal cremation ground, in her 12th and final state. She is known as Mahabhairava Gora Chanda Kali. Here, the effulgent light of supreme consciousness is responsible for manifesting the subjective, objective, and cognitive worlds, and is held in a state of oneness. These final four states of Kali operate in the field of pure subjectivity. This is the power of Kriya Shakti, the power of action. In Kashmir Shaivism, Kala Sankarshani Kala is also nominated as Pada Bhairava, or Mahakali. She is the thread of supreme awareness that runs through the 12 beads of perception, or states of consciousness, which span from the grossest to the subtlest level. In the verse from the Krama Lineage, penned down in the great 10th century Shaiva saint Abhinavagupta, Swami Lakshmanu explains, it is Kala Sankarshani Kali, in the form of Mahakali, who dances upon the body of Lord Shiva. But why is she dancing upon Shiva? Swamiji tells us the formation of Shiva is known as Mahakala, the Lord of time and death. By simply knitting her eyebrows, his better half, Mahakali, has shattered the universe into pieces and digested all time and spaces in her own nature. Here there is no past, no present, nothing is born and nothing dies. Therefore, Shiva, as Lord of time and death, surrenders totally and enjoys the blissful touch of Mahakali's lotus feet. It is to this universal mother that one must surrender everything. She is the great mother protecting everybody. You should take refuge in her at any cost, and everything will be fine. Swamiji added, by the grace of God, by the grace of the Master, by the grace of the sacred scriptures, or by the grace of one's own one-pointed practice, the aspirant who has understood the trick of awareness becomes liberated in no time. The recipient of such grace soon realizes the Divine Mother is not far away in some seventh heaven, but in fact, the very essence of one's own being. For this aspirant, there is nowhere to go to realize the divine, as she is closer to oneself than one's own breath. Jai Ma. So in these 12 Kalis that we'll be honoring, essentially we have three groups of four. Creation, also associated with awakening consciousness. Preservation, also associated with dreaming sleep. And destruction, which is associated also with dreamless sleep. And then the fourth function, beyond the three, sometimes referred to as bliss or ecstasy or turiya, known as the God state, limitless perception, and really this is the state of consciousness that is our goal in practices like Yoga Nidra and Kriya Yoga. So these four powers are then multiplied by objectivity, Icha Shakti, subjectivity, cognition, Jnana Shakti, subjectivity, Kriya or action. And the Trika goddesses of another lineage, the white goddess is Pada, the red goddess Pada, and the black goddess is Apada. And really, they represent the first three Kalis that we're going to be honoring in this series. Go ahead and pass that around. So in this series, like I said, is going to be 13 installments. We'll begin with the first Kali, Sristikali, the Kali of creation. The 13th will honor Mahakali, also known as Kalas and Karshini Kala, the sum of the 12. And we'll include a brief satsang, which is what we're doing here. Tonight's is a little bit longer because we're doing an introduction to the whole series. And then we'll do a fire puja, either indoor or outdoor. Each Kali's verse from the Krama Stotram will be recited in both Sanskrit and English in just after the lighting of our Homa fire. And then there'll be a special mantra to each of these goddesses and a guided meditation. So begins with Sristikali, the Kali of creation. You know, usually we don't think of Kali as a creative mother, but most often people think of her as the goddess of destruction. But like we see in this fall season with the leaves falling off the trees, destruction is followed by transformation and renewal. Those leaves that are falling right now are going to turn into soil. And from that soil, new plant life is going to grow in the spring. So an example of a creative Kali is Sristikali, who we've talked about 3 weeks ago. She is the mother of the goddess Kumari, who is believed to have created the universe from her womb. So this form of Kali is actually the mother of creation. This is one of the Kalis of the Kathmandu Valley. Matangi, one of the 10 Mahavidyas, the 10 great wisdom goddesses, is none other than Kali in the form of the creative goddess Sarasvati. And both Sristikali and Sarasvati can be honored with the seed syllable Ain. Pada Devi herself, the white goddess of those three that I showed in the beginning, she is also a goddess of creation. Her mantra, her single syllable mantra is Sau. And then another Mahavidya known as Lalita, Tripura Sundari, or Sudashi, is Kali in the form of a young girl. And she's associated with the Sri Chakra. And when you look at the pattern of the Sri Chakra, what you're seeing is a creative vibration moving from a central point outwards, rather like the Big Bang. And finally, in my favorite scripture, the Devi Mahatmaya, in chapter 1, we have Vishnu reclining on a couch, asleep. A lotus is growing from his navel. Sitting on that lotus is the creator god Brahma. He's about to utter the syllable Om to bring the universe into being. But there are these two demons who are harassing him named Madhu and Kataba, whose names roughly translate to drunkenness and stupidity. And Brahma calls out to Ma Kali, and she manifests, wakes up Vishnu, and Vishnu dispatches these two rather pesky demons with his club. And actually the club's significant too, because that represents the destruction of ignorance. We got a couple of folks joining us, including our friend Deborah. Namaste. So glad you joined us. Rafa and Susan are here. So, talking about these related goddesses and their mantras, our mantra for tonight is going to be Om Aing Klim Sao Svaha. So, Om, the creative consciousness of the universe, Aing, the syllable for the Divine Mother as creator. Klim is both a Kali mantra, but also related to Kama and Krishna in their most seductive forms. And so it represents the power of the divine to draw us toward itself. And then Sao is the mantra for both Pada Devi and also Lalita. And then Svaha, used in a lot of fire puja mantras as the offerings are given, and it roughly translates to I am one with the divine. So let's go ahead and begin our puja. I invite you to sit comfortably, breathing deeply, letting go of the cares and the concerns of the day, letting go of the anxieties and concerns of tomorrow, giving this time for yourself in this present moment for the Divine Mother's blessing of healing and transformation. And focusing your breath on your heart center, I invite you to think about something in your life that you're ready to let go of in exchange for something more harmonious. Just take a moment and maybe even visualize what it would look like if that energy were to be transformed. And then I invite you to bring the palms of your hands together at your heart center, and we'll open our puja by chanting the syllable Aing 3 times. Inhale. Om Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavastam Gatopiva Yashmare Pandarikaksham Sabhyabhyanta Sushi. Om Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavastam Gatopiva Yashmare Pandarikaksham Sabhyabhyanta Sushi. Om Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavastam Gatopiva Yashmare Pandarikaksham Sabhyabhyanta Sushi. Om Shuklam Bharadam Vishnum Sashivanam Shatobhajam Prasanavananam Dayat Sarva Vignopasantaye Jai Ganesha.
Jai Ganesha.
Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshvara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Guru Namah. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru.
Om Trayambakam Yajamaye Sagandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Bandhanan Mrityur Mukshiyam Amrita. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Jayanti Mangalakali Bhadrakali Kapalini Durga Shama Shiva Datri Svasvada Namostute Jayatvam Devi Chamunde Jayabhuti Harani Jai Sarvagate Devi Kalaratri Namostute. Jai Makali.
Jai Makali.
And finally, we honor the goddesses of the Krama lineage with a verse from its founder, Jananetra. Om Mahakalite Samjnasa Paramparaya Kramodita Shadasad Taikta Sabhava Paramandana Nandini Kali Mahakalam Alam Grasantim Vandeha Chinta Anilanala Bam Om Jai Makali.
Jai Makali.
Om Aing Klim Sao Sva 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 Om Kapodagoram Karunavataram Samsara Saram Bhujagendra Haram Sada Santam Hridayada Vinde Vivam Vivani Saitam Namami Devi Prapanote Hare Prasida Prasida Matara Jagata Kilasya Prasida Bishte Svada Pe Vishvam Tvamishora Devi Chachara Charasya Om Agni Jyotir Jyotiagnir Sva Agni Jyotir Jyotiagnir Sva Agni Jyotir Jyotiagnir Sva. So we honor Ma Sristikali, the Kali of creation. Kalunavananda Ganomirupa Unmesa Mesobya Bajamanita Niliyata Nita Kulaya Sristikalitam Satatam Namami. Jema Sristikali. So our mantra, Om Aing Klim Sao Svaha. 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 Om Aing Klim Sao Swaha. Om Aim Klim Sao. 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 Swaha.
-1.
Om Aim Klim Sao. Swaha. Om Aim Klim Sao. Swaha. Jai Ma Sristikali,
Jai Ma Sristikali.
Valley of Creation. I invite you now to close your eyes and breathe deeply. And focus your attention and your breath to your third eye center. And beginning to look beyond your third eye, outwards, into a void of darkness, a void of infinite space, known as Chitakasha. And feel yourself moving into the void, deeper and deeper. Finding yourself surrounded by blackness. You're in a time that no longer exists, for time doesn't exist. You're in a place that really doesn't exist because at this point places do not exist. But you reach out and you begin to perceive a solid, compact sphere. And you know that you're at the beginning of time, the time before creation, where everything that will one day exist is compacted into this very tiny sphere. Just take a moment and contemplate that sphere, that cosmic seed. Suddenly, the sphere, in a blinding flash of light, you see energy radiating out in every direction, outwards, vibration with that syllable of Om. You see protons and neutrons and subatomic particles congealing into atoms, those atoms congealing into molecules, and those molecules swirling in gaseous nebulae. And with the swirling of those clouds of gas, you begin to see the formation of stars and the formation of planets around them. And before you, you see something just for yourself manifesting in front of you. It could be an object. It could be a symbol of some kind. It could be a divine presence, or even as something as simple as just a feeling inside. But take a moment and meditate on what is manifesting in this act of creation just for you. Open your awareness to any messages that come with that manifestation. And then begin to feel that manifestation becoming internalized, moving inwards till it joins with you in your heart center. Then I invite you to very slowly open your eyes, gazing toward your screen, or if you're here, toward the fire, and begin to meditate upon our fire. Feel those energies within yourself that are no longer harmonious to you, no longer benevolent to you. Feel those going into the fire. And feel the power of healing and transformation coming back to you in the warmth and the heat of these flames. Jai Ma Sristikali Namaha. Jai Ma Sristikali Namaha. Jai Ma Sristikali Devi Namaha. And for our first benediction, listen to the words of Sristikali's verse from the Krama Stotram in English. I pay eternal homage to Sristikali, who remains hidden in the abode of totality of the objective world, similar to a blissful wave or tide in the ocean of consciousness. It is she who enjoys in her own self the creation and the dissolution of the universe. Jai Ma Sristikali. For our second benediction, listen now to the words of Abhinavagupta from the 4th chapter of Tantra Sara, the essence of the Tantras. A bound soul who has any of these convictions, I am dense, I am inert, matter, or I am completely bound by karma, or I am impure, or I am the pawn of others, may seek to attain the steady conviction of the opposite of these views. One succeeds in this, he or she immediately becomes the Lord whose body is the whole universe and the whole soul of consciousness. In whatever manner such a conviction may be attained, a tantric yogi should cultivate it in all times. He should not allow his perspective to become divorced from the real nature of things and thus be led into doubt by the mass of foolish teachings in this world. This is the path of liberation. Jai Ma. Om Sava Mangala Mangalye Shiva Savada Sadike Saranye Trambake Devi Naryane Namostute. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sana Bhavatu Sana Bunaktu Saviryam Kadavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mahavidyas. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Om.
Om Tat Sat Om.
Jai Ganesha.
Jai Ganesha.
Jai Guru.
Jai Guru.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Jai Ma Devi.
Jai Ma
Jai Ma
Devi.
Kali.
Jai Ma Kali.
Jai Ma Sristikali.
Sristikali.
Jai Mata Di.
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 Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Blessings always. Wishing you a wonderful week ahead and looking forward to when you join me again. Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
And good night.